Hi guys, welcome to one of the more unusual things I've done here. And today what we're going to talk about is the flipped classroom model. Who am I? That's me. Well, that's not really me. That's the logo of the school I work at. My name is Brad Campbell. You can reach me here. Notice this is a D, and that is my Twitter handle. Feel free when you're done watching this, if you haven't fallen asleep, to shoot me either an email or a tweet, and love to help and support you as you go through this, all right? So keep in mind, obviously this is super new. Doing this on YouTube for you guys, and the day I presented it to a room full of like 30 educators was probably the most intimidating part of the day for me. I've created a resource site, and one you guys might enjoy using is 3by3links.com/njcss. This is basically what that web page would look like for you, and the Prezi's housed here, and there's some pretty good resources in each of those places for you to click on. All right, and you guys probably don't even remember this show, but Saturday Night Live.
And now, Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy.
Saturday Night Live had this kind of pseudo psychologist who would offer advice, and it was called Deep Thoughts. And here's the thing I really want you to think about. At what point in the educational cycle do your kids need you? And what part are you willing to relinquish? Are you willing to export home? Think of this as a conversation about export and import. What's important enough that you want to import it back to your classroom? What is less important, less significant that you're willing to export home? That's the fundamental discussion. That's the fundamental question. For me as a social studies guy, writing down Washington was the first president is not nearly as important as analyzing his impacts. I'd rather take some time and figure out, let the kids do this without me so we can do this together. Okay, so let's talk about what is the flip model. First and foremost, it's not just about the video, but that's traditionally what it is. Teachers record and post video lectures like this one. The students go home and watch those. When they come back to class, they're doing the things that they would have normally done home in terms of homework, hence the flip. All right, in my class, I use a lot of WISCs. What does WISC stand for? I'm glad you asked. Watch. They watch the video, they summarize, and then they ask questions. I had been doing this as part of a Google Doc, but then to be honest with you, the kids complained that we weren't getting enough kind of conversation, so we have begun to do these on Edmodo, which is a kind of social learning site that we can use. Great for accountability. You can do it as a Google Doc, have the kids fill out a form like it's a survey, and you can get the results and look at everybody's results together. Other units, I've tried things like a control sheet or a task list, have the videos watched by certain dates, have certain activities done by certain dates, and they can be working on any number of those activities in class as quote-unquote homework and be watching the videos at home as part of the flip. All right? The flip allows us to put our focus back on the kids. It allows you to cover the background. You're always going to have this kind of pressure. I want to do the curriculum. I want to cover the curriculum. Did you cover this? Well, you can do it by doing the notes at home and then do the higher level activities that you want to do in class with the kids and share those experiences. It gives you more time to debate and more time to create and more time to discuss. The thing I said the other day to the group that saw this original is like, think about it. Who the hell is going to get into teaching and say, ooh, I got into teaching to watch kids write down what I say? No, you get into teaching because you want kids to experience something, to be moved, to think, to work. And too many times that thinking, that working, that trying, that doing, the yield we're trying to get, we say do as homework. And we don't get to be there when the kids need us. And I think that is the beauty of this model. Why would anybody flip? For me, I've kind of always been always looking for a different way. Back in the day, I used Quizstar. I've blogged with my classes. I've got that coaching mindset where it says to me, hey, don't be embarrassed to steal other people's idea. Pete Carroll once said, the smart steal from the strong. And since I'm neither, I'm going to try to do both there. And by that I mean I'm going to try to take other people's good ideas and steal them. I've had a few friends who've done the flip. To be honest with you, twice I've done this pretty poorly. Right now I'm pretty proud of the product I've put together for my kids and what they get and the experience they get. What are some of the benefits? The student has control. Really, it's the kids' class now. They can decide when, where, and how they want to watch the videos. Oftentimes, they can be deciding what they want to be doing in class. Here's what I need to do by a certain date. You can figure out how you want to allocate your time. All right? And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Again, I think that's the biggest argument. It literally allows me to start climbing the taxonomy a little bit. It's not Mr. Campbell's class anymore. It's our class. It's the kids' class. It's their world, and I'm just passing through it. I think I said that already. All right? I said it like 16 times. There's a book out there called Flip Your Classroom. Started in Colorado. Two teachers kind of came up with this idea. It's really a science and math model that has slowly been exported out to the social studies model. Think about how busy those kids are going to be. Think about how busy you were in high school. What this allows kids to do is decide when they want to do homework. I love the story a few years ago. I had a kid who was a world-class athlete in a non-traditional sport, so their parents were always traveling them, and they could do their homework in the back of mom and dad's car as they're traveling. This is the best part to me. Struggling kids can pause, they can play, they can rewind. Kids can watch the video 15 times. Think about how nervous in class you'd be to ask your teacher to repeat something 15 times. They don't have to ask. They press rewind. I can say it as many times as they want. They press rewind. They can hear me say it as many times as they want. You got it right. Sorry. That was making me giggle. I think one of the nice part is early in my career, I felt like I only taught to the middle. I think this allows me to teach to the entire class. The kids who are the high flyers can get something out of this and can go ahead. The kids who are struggling, I get a chance to, because in class we're meeting one by one, I get a chance to really help them. Okay, this blah, 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 don't read it. Look at this, right? Here's the difference. I don't know why I picked that picture. I don't look anything like that. I don't even really look anything like him. I look more like that guy. But think about it. If you're teaching, you look at that room and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be one of my smallest classes. I get that versus that, right? Every day I can walk around, if I'm really doing the flipped well, and meet with individual kids. What did you get out of that? What did you get out of that? Do you understand that? And I literally sit in my chair and fly around the room. Kids giggle. I get to a desk. Hey, you understand that? Good. Where are you? What are you working on? I get to know these kids so much better than the kids I knew before I did this. Because now I'm kneeling, rolled over at every kid's desk. Hopefully once in a while. That's really, truly how I feel. Or like this. The freedom is incredible. I feel like I've got an opportunity to teach and do what I want to do. What challenges are you going to face? Transition costs. It does create a little additional planning time. There are some tech hurdles you got to get over. These are my two grind my teeth moments. A kid actually said to me, "This doesn't feel like school." And another kid said, "What do my parents pay taxes for? Why aren't you teaching?" Well, I'd argue I am teaching. I'm making pretty good choices to help you learn. So what will you do with your time? Here you're seeing a teacher in a 6th grade class where she set up stations, and all these kids are working, doing different things. You can see here there's a task sheet, and they're working through it. They're all on their own agenda. This kid's on a computer. This kid's working by himself. And the person manning the camera is the teacher who can walk around and check in and talk to every single kid. What a blessing. For my class, I know one of my weaknesses, and I didn't do enough in the past, is now I get to do more Socratic circles, We've done a lot more writer workshops because I didn't have the pressure of saying, oh my God, I got to get through the curriculum. I could do it. I love this story. Teach modern, honors modern world history. That's Danny Boyle. He did the Olympic opening ceremonies, and what we did is almost every each unit we would write him letters about what could and should be added, what symbolism could be added to the Olympics opening ceremony to capture whatever else was happening in our year. Sadly, he never wrote back to us. We did get a lot of feedback one day. We did a activity with Bug's Life. So we watched the movie's Bug's Life, the whole movie, because we had time, because we took the notes at home. And at the end of Bug's Life, kids got assigned a random country, and they had to turn the story of that country's relationship to imperialism into the story of Bug's Life. Let me mention this here. Far and Away, terrible movie. Some really cool, some really great clips in it that now, if I was doing the flip in U.S. History 2, I'd have time to get to. I'd have time to analyze. What a great opportunity to talk to kids about, hey, what works best for you? How do you learn? And that sort of level of metacognition, I think, is wonderful for the kids. So the real question is this. What could you do? What could you or your teachers do with all that time they get back? How could they help your kids? The list is, it's long. It's ridiculous. It's awesome. So here's what I've learned. Number one, kids are going to miss you. You can't disappear. I said earlier, I did the flip wrong. And if some of those times my mistake was getting too far out of their way. They want you there to be a part of the class, but it doesn't mean you have to be standing in front of the class barking at them for 40 minutes. KISS, keep it simple. The second S is for short. This video is going to end up being, unfortunately, 15 minutes. I would say real videos, I'd only do about 5 minutes. All right? Like any good teaching practice, you want to make sure you're flexible, you have accountability, and you're doing it for a reason. The good news is there's hundreds and thousands of people out there who are doing this, who are doing it even more risky. There's a whole movement towards standard-based grading, where you give the kids a list of the standard, you make the videos, and give them lists of things they can do to prove that they learned it. Things to think about. How can we give the kids some more responsibility without giving them permission to fail? I think the flip allows you to do that. What is the best use of your class time? You get 40 minutes, you get 80 minutes with those kids every once in a while. What's the best use of your time when you're in the room with them? What can you send home? What do you not need to be there for? And I think this is the big one. What lower level activities can we export? Can we send home? The two hits I always take on this is, well, it's still homework. You're right. And oftentimes the question becomes about, let's go back to this one because I think I'll end here. The question also often becomes about, well, what about equity issues? And I think there's some pretty creative workarounds. And if you have concerns about that, reach out to me. I'll let you know. And here's a bunch of slides I didn't get to that day because thankfully the time was up. But it's some ideas worth thinking about. All right. Well, my name is Brad Campbell. This has been my video, and please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Have a great day. Bye now.